Welcome to the podcast. I'm looking out the window right now, and the lake effect snow here in Chicago is absolutely brutal today.
It really is. The wind coming off Lake Michigan cuts right through your jacket. You just want to freeze and not move.
You know, that physical feeling of freezing up is exactly what happens mentally to a lot of professionals when they speak English at work.
I understand what you mean. They get stuck on small words. They sit in a corporate meeting downtown. Someone says something and they want to agree, but they freeze.
Exactly. They want to say, me too, but they panic. They wonder, should I say also? Should I say as well? Will I sound uneducated if I choose the wrong one?
That is a real fear. It is not just about grammar. It is about the deep insecurity of sounding unnatural. People lose sleep over the fear that their colleagues are silently judging their English.
And that anxiety leads to overcompensating. I hear people say things like, I also like that too as well. They throw every word in there just hoping one is correct.
That actually makes it worse. It overloads the sentence. So today, we need to completely untangle these three words: also, too, and as well.
Let us start with the most natural one. To. T-O-O. This is the one you hear constantly on the streets, in coffee shops, everywhere.
Yes, and the rule is incredibly simple. You put it at the very end of the sentence. If I say, I need a hot coffee right now, what do you say?
I say, I need a hot coffee too. It just sits comfortably at the end. No stress.
There is actually a psychological reason why to is so effective. Have you heard of the recency effect in linguistics?
Wait, really? What does that mean?
The recency effect shows that human brains remember the very last part of a sentence the most clearly. When you end with to, you leave the listener with a strong feeling of agreement.
That makes total sense. It creates a bond. You hear that agreement ring in your ears right as the person stops speaking.
Exactly. But here is the mistake learners make. They try to sound smart by putting it at the front. They say, I too like coffee.
Oh, I hear that a lot. It sounds like they are acting in a Shakespeare play. It is completely unnatural for everyday US English.
Right, keep it at the end. Now, what about also? This is where the real panic happens.
Because also sits right in the middle of the sentence, and the position changes depending on the verb. It feels like a trap.
It is a trap if you overthink it. Let us simplify. If you have a normal action verb, also goes right before it. I also work here. She also drives.
Okay, that is straightforward. But the problem is the be verb. Am, is, are. It breaks the rule.
Yes, with be verbs, also must go after. I am also tired. You cannot say, I also am tired. That sounds incredibly awkward.
I notice that when people make that mistake, their confidence just shatters. They realize halfway through the sentence that something feels wrong.
And that is when the imposter syndrome hits. They think, I have lived in this country for 5 years and I still cannot put a simple word in the right place.
It is heartbreaking because they have so much value to add to the conversation. So, how can they avoid this trap entirely?
This brings me to a fascinating concept called cognitive load theory in language learning. Your brain has limited processing power when speaking in real time.
So if you are trying to remember the grammar rule for also, while also trying to make your professional point, the brain just crashes?
Precisely. The science suggests you should reduce your choices. If also confuses you, just drop it. Use to instead. It handles the exact same job with zero mental friction.
I love that. Permission to take the easy road. If you are not sure, just slap to at the end of the sentence and keep moving.
Now, we have a third option, as well. This one is interesting. Where do you usually hear this being used?
I hear it a lot in customer service or hospitality. Would you like some water as well? It sounds softer, maybe a little more polite.
That is a perfect observation. As well functions exactly like to. You put it at the very end, but it carries a slightly more formal, gentle tone.
So if I'm talking to my boss here in Chicago and he says he is worried about the budget, I could say, I am worried about the budget as well.
Yes, it sounds highly professional. It shows you are engaged, but you are not being overly casual.
Okay, we have covered the positive sentences. But what happens when things go negative? Because this is where the real train wreck happens.
This is crucial. In negative sentences, everything we just learned goes out the window. You do not use to, you do not use also. You use either.
So if someone says, I do not like this winter weather, I should never say, I do not like it too.
Please never say that. It hurts my ears just hearing it. The correct response is, I do not like it either.
That is so difficult for people to grasp because in many languages, like Vietnamese or Spanish, you just use the same word for also, whether the sentence is positive or negative.
That makes sense. They are translating directly from their native language. But in English, negativity requires a completely different tool.
Let us practice that. I will give you a negative statement. You react. I cannot believe how expensive rent is downtown.
I cannot believe it either.
Perfect. I do not want to shovel the snow tomorrow.
I do not want to shovel it either. It is simple once you train your brain to recognize the negative trigger.
I think the key is giving yourself grace. Nobody expects you to speak perfectly, but mastering these tiny words gives you immense confidence.
Absolutely. Fluency is not about using big, complicated vocabulary. It is about using the basic, everyday words correctly. That is what makes you sound natural.
Before we finish, I have to ask, have you ever heard someone use all three words together in real life?
Yes. A client once told me, I also want to improve my speaking too, as well. I just had to smile. They wanted to make absolutely sure I knew they agreed.
It is funny, but it comes from a good place. They are trying hard. But less is more. Pick one. Stick to it.
My final advice, default to. If you're feeling brave, use also before the verb. And if someone is negative, grab either. Keep that framework and you will survive any meeting.
That is solid advice. I'm going to go make a hot cup of tea to survive this Chicago wind. Thank you for this conversation, Jordan.
Thank you for having me. I think I need some hot tea as well.